We're asked to factor the following trinomials: A, B, C, D, and E. They all have 3 terms in them. They're polynomials, and let's get started. We're going to use factor by guessing. It's also known as the reverse FOIL method, where you're basically doing first times first, outer times outer, inner times inner, last times last, backwards. First we'll do x squared plus 9x plus 14. We boldly put our parentheses up there, pretending that we know what we're doing when we really don't yet. And we've put the x's in both of the first positions because x times x is x squared. Then we have to figure out what last times last will be. Well, we want it to equal 14. How about a 2 and a 7? And if both of them are positive, it will give us the product of the outers and the product of the inners equal to the middle term 9x. So that's good. Next polynomial is x squared plus 10 minus 11x. Well, before we can even factor this trinomial, we need to get it into the proper sequence. It should be written as x squared plus bx plus c form. So we're going to move that negative 11x into the middle. We'll have x to the second minus 11x plus 10. And we're going to put up our 2 parentheses. X is in the first position to give us x squared. A 1 and a 1 will give us, a 1 and a 10 will give us 10 at the back. If we make the 1 negative and the 10 negative, then the product of the outers plus the product of the inners will give us the middle term negative 11x. You can check it to make sure it's good. Let's factor t squared plus 13t minus 30. Okay, well, let's try it. We'll put our parentheses up there like it's going to work out fine. Put our t's. First times first is t squared. A 3 times 10 is 30. But wait a minute. The middle is not working. You know, I can't get that middle term, that 13t. So that was a bad guess. Now, let me try again. This is called factor by guessing, so I get to try again. Put up my 2 parentheses. Put my t's in the first position. T times t gives me the first guy. A 2 and a 15. A negative 2 times a positive 15 gives me the negative 30 in the back. Now check the product of the inners plus the product of the outers to see if you get the middle term. The product of the inners is negative 2t. The product of the outer terms is positive, 15t. Together that gives me a positive 13t, the middle term. So that's good factoring. Part D, we're going to factor negative c squared plus 9c minus 18. I don't like that negative sign in the front. So let's factor out the negative 1 from every term in order to get our squared term in the front to be positive. It's easier to factor that way. Okay, so we take the original question and we'll factor out a negative 1. It's equal to negative 1 times parentheses c squared minus 9c plus 18. And now we'll work on factoring the stuff in the second parenthesis. Put our 2 parentheses up there. First times first has to give us the c squared, so we'll put c's in each of those positions. Now last times last has to give us a positive 18. You know, a 3 and a 6 will give me a positive 18. Either both the 3 and the 6 have to be positive to give me 18 when I multiply, or they both have to be negative to give me positive 18 when I multiply. Since the middle term is a negative 9c, I'm going to make both the 3 and the 6 negative. Now FOIL that, and you'll see that if you do first times first, outer times outer, inner times inner, and last times last, that's good factoring. It gives us a c squared minus 9c plus 18. Okay, let's factor y squared minus 2y minus 8. Put up our parentheses. First times first has to give us the first term y squared, and that's y times y. Now the last term times the last term in the parentheses has to give us a negative 8. A 4 and a 2 is going to work for me, but in order for the 8 to be negative, either the 4 or the 2 has to be negative while the other one's positive. And I suggest that the negative sign should go in front of the 4 because we want to get that middle negative 2y term. And sure enough, negative 4 times a positive 2 gives me the negative 8 in the back. But for the middle, the product of the outers plus the product of the inners, let's see, that would give us 2y minus 4. Y is minus 2y. So that's good factoring. And we're finished.